Bum bum param pum param pum param pum pum bum bum param pum param pum param pum pum bum bum.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining me for the conversation here today. First up, welcome to the Reimagine Payments podcast series by Amazon Payment Services. My name is Peter George. I lead Amazon Payment Services for the Middle East and North Africa markets. The intent of putting this podcast together, when my team and I thought about it, was to talk to leaders of industry, leaders of commerce based here and in the region, to ask them about what their thoughts are about the industry and the ecosystem as a whole, and to then arrive at common pain points and opportunities that they are facing and others around them can actually benefit from their expertise as well. With that in mind, allow me to jump into today's podcast and the guest that we have today. Before I came over to the studio a little earlier, I actually had about 3 different meetings that I attended in the morning with different members of my team, and I must have spoken at least 10 of them, and about 9 of them were customers of this particular app and this particular company that I have the privilege of talking with today. The CEO of the company is here with me today. And the 10th person who was not a customer was made a customer of the company soon after the conversation I had with them as well. All 9 of them pounced on this 10th guy and said, "You're losing out on the opportunities that this particular company brings to the table." The company in question boasts of one of the largest loyalty platforms in the Middle East and GCC markets. And with me today is the CEO of the company that's none other than The Entertainer. I have with me Ahmed Gaber, who is the CEO of The Entertainer. Thank you so much for joining me, Ahmed. This is our inaugural session, and we are truly delighted to have you here with us over here in the studio here today.
Thank you very much, Peter, and I am beyond humbled and excited to be with you today, and I thank you very much for your invitation.
Thank you. So Ahmed is he is a veteran from the Middle East and GCC markets. Ahmed is about 21, 22 years of experience in this region. Am I right, Ahmed?
Unfortunately, 22, 23 years. Yeah.
Why unfortunately?
Yeah, I'm getting old. Yeah, I'm trying to hide it.
It doesn't show at all.
That's great. Thank you for the compliment.
But Ahmed is also, apart from being the CEO of Entertainer, he also was with Visa for 16 years, is what you're mentioning. And with other companies in the region as well, with Network International. So you also are a payments expert as well.
Yeah, that's my domain. I'm in love with payments, and payments is in my blood.
Got it. So for a person who's new to payments, I've been with Amazon for 12 years now. I was in India before this. I came to the region about a year ago. And payments is new to me. I was on the retail side with Amazon. So it's been about a year with me in payments. So I've still got a lot to pick up from you and a lot to learn from you over here and maybe outside of here as well. But before we kind of go any further, Ahmed, let me ask you this. I'm guessing you use Entertainer yourself.
Yeah, always.
Of
course. Yeah.
What's the last thing that you bought on Entertainer, and what was, if it's possible for you to share with the group who's going to hear?
Of course. It's not even easy to remember what I had for breakfast, but I can remember because my wife and I were debating what to order, and that was sushi. So we ordered a delivery through the Entertainer, and we always, whenever we want to order something at home, we order from the Entertainer, because there is nothing better than paying for just one sushi and while you're ordering 2 orders.
Yeah, quite true. And in fact, speaking of family, my daughter is visiting me this week in Dubai, as I was mentioning. And one of the things I truly love about the Entertainer is the ability to kind of add family to your app as well. So I have an Entertainer. I must say that I'm an Entertainer customer. I've used it, I think, 3 days after I landed up over here. I was having dinner with a friend, and he whipped out his phone, and he had this thing called Entertainer. And I said, "What is this about?" And he said, "Hey, try it out." And this is the first thing. So one of the very first Dubai-friendly apps that I actually installed on my phone was the Entertainer. And 2 days ago, when my daughter arrived in Dubai, I installed the Entertainer Family Plus package that you have as well on her phone. So she's going around Dubai asking restaurants and places where offers from Entertainer over there as well. So you've got more customers coming along.
That's great, and you mentioned something at the beginning when 9 out of 10 of your employees were using it, and then you convinced the last one. So remind me, you need to get your commission for that. Okay, because you managed to sell one app for us.
I really have to talk to you separately about whether Amazon's rules permit me, but nevertheless.
I'm just joking about it. Yeah.
But this is good indeed. But nevertheless, Ahmed, since Entertainer is such when I thought about the opportunity to talk to you and I thought about your company that you lead. It's a very interesting company from the perspective of how the company that I lead and the company that you lead are different from the perspective of the fact that you are at the fulcrum of consumers and businesses, and you kind of connect the two, right? You have consumers who want value and you provide them value. You want businesses who want to reach out to more customers, and you provide them that as well. So you literally are at this lovely gateway and intersection point. Am I right in stating so?
You are absolutely right, Peter, and you got it right. Entertainer, the hidden gem actually. So I will tell you about the entertainer in more details. There is a hidden gem in the entertainer. So we have two wings. The wing of the B2C, which you kindly got us a new customer today, okay, which is the app which everyone is using. And we have this app in every GCC country. We have it in Singapore. We have it in South Africa. We are launching it in Egypt by August this year. That's a B2C app for consumers. And we have different versions of it, like the classic app and the premium app and the global app. But the hidden gem is the corporate side of the entertainer, where we build loyalty programs and technology for the corporates. Nice. So to give you an example, we work with governments, we work with banks, we work with fintechs, we work with retailers, and you name it, like the MasterCard Priceless app, we run it and we build it. It's our technology, Visa Experience app. Government apps, retailers apps like Al-Futim apps. So
you build all those apps for
we
them?
build these apps and then we provide them with the offers which their customers are interested in. And then we provide them also with an engagement methodology so that we make sure that their customers are engaged
with the apps
with them, because that's the main purpose of having a loyalty program, to have an engaged customer.
Naturally.
So we manage the engagement piece, and sometimes even we manage the marketing piece on the behalf of our clients, where we send emails and we create the creative and the artwork on their behalf as well.
Very cool.
So that's a hidden gem of the B2B business. Is very big for us at the entertainer.
No, we should definitely talk further as well about how Amazon Payment Services and Entertainer on the B2B side certainly can do more together as well. Maybe outside of the podcast series, but that's a business opportunity.
Will be my great pleasure.
But having said that, we at Amazon have this concept of 3 years planning. We plan for every 3 years. It's a rolling 3-year plan, right? What if I could ask you to perhaps put on, since you're the CEO of the Entertainer and of course these divisions over there, what is your outlook for the next 3 years for Entertainer? What do you see coming up strong for you in the company as such? That's shareable, of course.
Yeah, Peter, this question really is becoming very difficult nowadays, because with the geopolitical changes which we are seeing every day, with what's happening in the world from financial point of view, you see some banks which you never thought that these banks will go bankrupt. Yeah. When you see some companies, you never thought that these companies gonna fail. It's becoming very difficult to have a 3 years plan and to stick to it. So what do we do at the Entertainer? We have the 3 years plan, but we are very agile to shift gears right away, to fail fast right away, to change direction right away. So it's very important to have a plan, to have a strategy, to have a game plan. But more important to be agile with the changes and to have this mindset of embracing the change.
Very nice.
And I would actually use an example of one of the very famous universities. I cannot really remember if it is Harvard or which one. They have run kind of study, and they found that the best quality of the employees now are the employees who are able to perform in the gray area, because there is no black and white anymore.
Got it.
The clear direction from the management or from the board of directors of companies cannot be black and white like before. You do that, you get that. It's not like that anymore. So the employee should be able to very quickly change direction, very quickly, not getting panic if his manager is asking him to do something this week and then next week changing direction.
Yep.
That's fine, because that's how the world is changing every day.
Very true. And you know, when you were speaking, Ahmed, and given that I've been with Amazon for 12 years, I could actually resonate with a few of the Amazon philosophies as well. One philosophy you spoke about was speed. We call that bias to action. Bias to action at Amazon. The other thing you spoke about is two-way door decisions as well, where we actually can take a decision and move back quickly in case you're not happy about. And the last thing that you spoke about, I love the most, is dealing with ambiguity. Because given the environment the way it is today, the amount of ambiguity that your teams, my teams have to kind of contend with is clearly it's a hugely ambiguous world.
Absolutely.
And to kind of make sense of it all is must be super difficult. But within these, what are you seeing as trends that you are going to try and capture on for the next 2-3 years?
So we are working on multi-directions. So number one, given the geopolitical unrest, we have to make sure that we have coverage in various countries. So if a country will get into trouble or will get into any financial issues or any political issues, so geographical expansion for us is very important, and that's why we decided to open in Egypt. Egypt is booming, especially in the e-commerce. So our strategy is actually to focus on key countries, which are mainly Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Egypt.
Okay.
Keeping the focus also on the existing business in every GCC country we exist in, and in Singapore and other countries. That's one. Second, from a strategic point of view, it's very important to know your superpowers, or to know your power, your strength. Like a human, every one of us, we have weaknesses and we have strength. So if you know your strength, you can really do wonders. So our superpowers or our strength are three things. Number one, our customer base. So we have such a great customer base, either our B2C customer base, the people who are using our entertainer app and their families. This is our first line of the strategy, where I will talk to you about it now.
Sure.
The second one is our merchant base. We have around 7,000 merchants in our database, which we have offers. We are using actually the relationship with them to offer smarter life for people because when you spend less, you live smarter. You can use this money for something else.
For sure.
The third superpower which we have are the corporates, which we are dealing with, the B2B clients, like banks, like governments, like retailers, like telcos, like fintechs. So with every line we have a strategy. So for example, for the consumers which we have now, we are checking what kind of needs for these consumers other than just saving money. So we are introducing money transfer to them, so that they can use the entertainer app in order to transfer money, given that the majority of our users are expats.
Sure.
So they can transfer money, and that's one. Second, we have such a large base of merchants.
Yep.
So why not to include most of them in the delivery? So we are double downing on our delivery capabilities. That's another thing.
Good. So you're providing those capabilities as well to as an offering to your merchant customers as well.
Absolutely. Wow. We are opening doors for customers, for merchants actually to sell more.
Correct.
And we are giving the same offer to the consumer while he's sitting or she's sitting at home.
Very interesting.
So that's the second element. The third element is actually the user experience. So the entertainer, as you are aware, it was a book.
Yep, I've heard of it was a book.
And then it became an app. And now I will reveal something, and that's actually no one knew about it in any media before.
Oh, okay.
And I hope my PR person will forgive me for that. We didn't tell anyone about it.
Thank you. This sounds interesting. What's coming up?
We are launching the new gen of the entertainer app in June.
Very nice.
Which will be a very different app than the app which you are seeing now.
Okay.
It will be social kind of an app, kind of mix between Netflix and Instagram, where you can see stories where.
Oh wow!
And
where are you getting into streaming as well? Is that
no, not exactly, exactly. But we will allow people to use the app as a social platform. If you go to a restaurant, you can post your experience in that restaurant, and we're gonna reward you for posting your experience, because actually you are talking about a merchant, you are talking about the app, and then you can share your opinion, and people can know what do you think about the restaurant. So That's our new.
It's like fresh reviews right then and there when a customer is right there. So
Absolutely,
he or she posts
absolutely.
it.
And even the way you're gonna
Interesting.
navigate the app, it will be AI based. So
Got it.
it will be if we notice that you are eating Italian food, the first thing will appear not the business as usual one. It will appear to you. You will see the Italian restaurants more and more. You will see
Understood.
the experience there. So it will be. So that's on the
Excellent.
consumer
And
side.
you said this is coming out in June?
It's coming in June.
I can't wait to try it out. I'm going to remind myself to refresh myself.
And I can't
about my
wait to
app.
get your view as well,
I
because
would love to.
Amazon is great in consumer experience. So I would love to know your view
No,
about it.
but as we were talking before we came in over here, the degree of agility that you bring to the table as a company that you run over here, and the mass, like I said, you're a 90% share of market amongst 10 people I spoke of, at least. It's so intuitive, and I'm keenly looking forward to this one. I truly believe it'll be a game changer in the manner in which people engage with not just the Entertain app, but also the restaurants and the merchants that they're visiting as well.
I'm truly very excited about it, and the whole team of the Entertainer is working very
Wow.
hard to make it a success.
I truly wish them a success.
In addition to that as well, we are adding to it in-app payments in the future.
Oh, nice.
So why not, if you are using the Entertainer, to use the Entertainer to pay as well?
Pay as well, yeah.
So we did the proof. We are doing the proof concept now in one country, which is a small country for us.
For sure.
And it should go live in September. And once we test everything and we are successful, we will launch it in our key countries.
Got it.
And you can imagine, we just made an announcement a few weeks ago that we saved for the people $1 billion.
Wow.
So you can imagine that's the saving amount. So how much would be the whole transaction amount?
Yep.
So we would like really to capture this payment on our Entertainer app, and that's on the consumer side.
Got it.
Then on the merchant side, the merchants are our really great partners, and we are getting them a lot of clients, and they are giving us value as well.
For sure.
So we would like to help these merchants also with sustainability. So there is some important news which I cannot share it now, where we will start measuring the carbon footprint for these merchants, and we will ask consumers to contribute to that as well.
Very nice.
So I cannot really talk about it much. We have a special PR on that.
This
coming,
conversation
so-
has to continue after this as well.
Yeah,
So I'm
I will
definitely
not
gonna
talk about it. Okay. Yeah.
No, but I know, Ahmed, I spoke in the beginning that you are also a payments person.
Yeah. I am, yeah.
And you spent 20 plus years in the payments industry with Visa.
You insisted to say 20 plus. Okay. All right. Yeah. I did. Yes.
You look far younger than that. Let me put it that way.
Okay. Okay.
No, but those 20 plus years of payments experience, and here at Entertainer, now I hear you talking about wanting to introduce the payment solutions in your offerings for consumers as well. What do you think are the trends that you see as irrespective of Entertainer, as a professional in the industry who's been here for so many years, with payments as such? What do you see as trends that are popping up amongst consumers, Ahmed?
Many. Look, I can talk to you about GCC, for example, is very different than North Africa. And
sure.
I used to lead many countries in
over
the
there.
GCC, and I used to lead the entire North Africa region. So the needs and the trends are super different.
Got it.
So, for example, in the GCC, the contactless and e-commerce are taking over by far. Like most of the transactions now, I barely see someone now dipping his card in a machine. It's always either contactless using the plastic or contactless using one of the apps and on the phone, like Apple Pay or Google Pay.
Sure.
And e-commerce, of course, is everyone is using e-commerce. People find it very difficult now to go and pay bills in the store or stay somewhere in the queue. It's convenience. In North Africa, the story is very different. The story is about financial inclusion. The story is about to get people to trust the system of the payment. We noticed that in North Africa, people, once they get their salary, they go to the ATM and they take the cash right away. They feel safe when the cash with them, not with the bank.
Understood.
So there is a confidence and trust element which needed to be built there. So these are the key trends. The surprising trend which no one yet managed to solve this puzzle, which is the super apps. Like in China, the super apps are doing super well. Almost no one can live now in China without WeChat, without these super apps.
I completely resonate with what you just said. But looks like Entertainer is trying to kind of get to the super app stage as well. Is that a plan for you?
I look at it from very different point of view. I look at it from solving a problem.
Excellent.
So honestly, we are not aspiring to be a super app. We don't know even what super app is. Super app. If you ask
You're very
2-3
modest.
people, no, because super app, the definition is you have everything in one place.
Yeah.
And it's very expensive to have everything and to have technology which will have everything in one place. So the way we are thinking is we launched the thing which will solve a problem to our consumer and also will be financially profitable to us. Because if it is just solving a problem and not financially profitable, I'm burning money for the company and for the shareholders.
Yep.
And this is a mistake. A lot of startups did. They burned a lot of money and once they stopped the marketing piece and they stopped the giveaways or whatever, the transaction stopped simply.
True.
So the problem which we are trying to solve for here is instead of you having, you have to open the Entertainer app and then someone has to enter the key, the PIN number, and then he has to take the 9 digits and to put it in the register. So we are trying to eliminate these 3 steps by just clicking one button and pay using the app itself.
Understood.
So there is a problem we are trying to solve because that will save the waiter's time, that will save the consumer time,
Excellent.
and that will create another revenue stream for us. In addition to that, which is very important to us, we deal with a large number of SMEs. So our merchants, not all of them are high-end merchants.
For sure.
So the cost of payments for them, the 3%, the 3.5% is very high.
True.
And when we become the merchant on file, we have the negotiation power, in fact, to go to lower interchange rate and lower MDR, merchant discount rate.
Of course.
So we give them much lower pricing because as a small merchant, you have very, very little space to negotiate with the big players.
Very true.
So, but when we come into the picture and we become the merchant on file, we give them much better MDR, and that's the value we are adding into this. So I look at it not from super app perspective, I look at it from solving a problem. So whenever I solve a problem, I add it to our app. Like in the money transfer also, when I told you that we are planning to do that, it's solving a problem because you are in the app already.
True.
So why would you go somewhere else while you can transfer from your home?
Ahmed, what's refreshing? I mean, I know we've got a few more minutes left with you, but what's refreshing is that every time I meet an entrepreneur, a CEO, or a leader like yourself, and I hear you talking and worrying about the consumer pain point, it's so refreshing. Because here at Amazon, and that's one of the reasons why we actually came up with a study called the Reimagine Payments platform and the white paper that we have in front of us here as well. It's all about finding out what are the consumer pain points or what are the customer pain points, and then work backwards from there to solve for it.
Yeah.
That's what defined Amazon as a company. And it's so endearing to hear you talk about exactly the same. Because and it's funny that we're talking about it as well, because what's even more encouraging is that every conversation every question I'm shooting at you and you answering back, there are so many nuggets of insights over there, which are all so Amazonian as well. It almost looks like you worked in Amazon. It's kind of talking about stuff over there as well.
I love Amazon. I will tell you something, and I'll be very honest with you, Peter. Not because really I'm sitting with you. Of course, you know how I felt very good with you since we met now. But I will tell you a story. Amazon, when I used to work for Visa, Amazon was the first company I think I have seen where they didn't ask for second factor authentication, right? And that was eye-opener for me because Amazon was one of the very few companies, I think it was the only company at that time which was processing huge number of transactions.
Yeah.
And Amazon decided to accept to take the risk of not having the second factor authentication on the account of giving great user experience. So Amazon is my teacher, really. When you said that I feel that you worked at Amazon, I learned much from Amazon, and then you proven to be the best, and that's why I said to you, I'm using you. I don't need to enter my card number. I don't need to enter anything. I don't need to do anything. It's very seamless. No second factor authentication. I don't need to be having my phone. So
No.
user experience, I think you guys at Amazon are the school of this.
Oh, thank you. And that's very humbling to hear from you, Ahmed. We truly worry about the customer experience. It's front and center in everything that we do, right? Our consumer experience has to be the best in class. And if you're not, we learn from the best. And I'm hoping that I'll learn more from you as well in the days ahead when you have more of this coming through and the payment
You're just being
solution.
humble.
No, not at all. I truly believe there's so much to learn from each other. And that's the intent of the entire reason why we have one, the podcast series or the white paper. It's all about what can we communicate out in the ecosystem, learn from leaders like you, and then pass it outside so that others can also learn and do better at it as well. You spoke about cost of payments in between. Do you think that's a big that's holding back innovation in the region? Do you think what's your view on
Okay,
cost
I
of
need to
payments?
drink water before answering that, because that's where we're gonna get into some sensitive conversations.
No, but whatever is revealable / talkable, at least in the forum as this, we can talk outside as well.
So, of course, when the cash was the king,
Yeah.
when the cash transactions were much bigger than the electronic payments transactions, it was fine that the electronic payment was the cost was that high.
Yeah.
But now we see in many countries that the electronic payment is much bigger than the cash. So in fact, there must be kind of review for the pricing, and from two sides or three sides, I would say. Number one, to facilitate the global commerce. For example, if someone is producing coffee in Africa, to bring this coffee to Dubai or to the GCC.
So logistics.
So logistics is something, and also the cost of payment. If I want to order, I'm a coffee lover. If I want to order coffee from Nigeria or from Ethiopia, the payment becomes a problem for that merchant.
I understand.
They have to pay international fees. They have to pay much, and then they add that to the cost, and then they are not competitive enough compared to what I have here. So to enable global commerce more and more, there must be kind of a conversation on the pricing for the global commerce, and the price of the schemes, the price of the industry, the price of everything. The whole ecosystem needs to sit together and discuss it. That's one. Second, specifically the segment of the SMEs and freelancers.
Yeah.
These guys are very cost sensitive.
Yeah.
The 3% or the 4% of the cost, including the bank cost, including the payment cost, including whatever other costs, all of these costs are not easy for them to absorb.
Very true.
And e-commerce for them becoming essential. It's not a nice to have anymore.
Yeah,
no,
it's existential as
there
well.
was a study actually which was done in 2020 when COVID hits in the UK, and they found that the 64% or 68%, I cannot recall the number, from the SMEs who managed to survive during this period, who had e-commerce platform. Others closed their doors because they didn't have e-commerce. So it's becoming so important. So it's becoming very important now to revisit the pricing and the model for these players, because they cannot afford what global corporates can afford. The global corporates can absorb this cost. So that's the second direction. The third direction is governments and regulators. In my opinion, governments and regulators can play a key role in having more payment solutions inside the country.
Yeah.
Like if you see in Saudi Arabia, for example, there is MADA, which is doing great.
Exceedingly well, yeah.
Yeah, you can see in Egypt there is Misa
Misa.
now, and in Bahrain there is Benefit. That actually reduces the costs of
Yeah.
the payment inside the country.
Yeah.
So it goes hand in hand, all of them together. So that's
Understood.
important, and refreshing the pricing is becoming essential.
Excellent, because again, in reference to the white paper, it does talk a lot about the collaboration needed between industry, between commerce, between government and regulators. Exactly, it's a topic that we are also trying to urge the entities that we talk to within the authorities to kind of revisit and relook at, purely on account of the fact that, as you rightly said, the backbone of the economy is, while you obviously have the huge business houses and huge industries as such, but the backbone still is SME. And UAE has a huge SME base over here,
Yeah.
which needs to be better catered to. And that's one of the reasons why we came up with solutions and books as these, or documents as these. And it's so refreshing again to hear you as an industry leader talking about it as well. But and I know I've taken a lot of your time on these conversations, but I don't want to let you go yet. And I know I want to continue my conversations with you outside of this podcast as well. But what do you have, if you could, whatever is shareable that is, what else is news from Entertainer that we can actually watch out for, apart from the super app that I'm going to refresh my app on in June? Is there anything else that I need to be waiting for good news from your end, or any such at all that is shareable? Of course, I know your people over here are going to audit you, but what is shareable? Anything at all? If it is, it's great. If not, it's okay too. We can talk about it later.
We are working on something
Okay.
on something big.
Okay.
I really I will keep
And
it,
that's
but
fine.
at least I'm telling you that whenever I can reveal it, I will tell
We
you,
will.
Peter,
We
and
should
we
talk
will
about it.
always talk about it,
For
because
sure.
that will be also not only the second generation; it will be completely new. Direction of the entertainer, new strategy for the entertainer. So
understand.
there is something big happening by the end of the
I'm,
year.
I'm looking forward to that. But I must say this as well, Ahmed, the conversation with you has been so interesting, insightful, and enlightening as well. But it's also been extremely comfortable as well, because you seem like a person who's extremely in control of your environment. But what keeps you up at night? What keeps you sleepless at night? There's a movie called Sleepless in Seattle, or Sleepless in Dubai now at least.
Let me tell you a secret. So, in addition to so originally I'm engineer by studying, but I'm a business person. I never worked as an engineer more than a month in my life, but also I study psychology. So
very
so I'm doing
interesting.
MBA in my. I read a lot of psychology books,
Okay.
and then I decided to study because I got confused by the book. So I decided to get more academic into it. So, to answer your question, I don't allow anything to not make me sleep well at night. If
nice.
there is anything which makes me not sleeping at night, it means that I didn't deal with it at the morning or during the day. So if there is anything I need to deal with, I deal with. And there is a great definition for the stress, which I'd love to share it.
Please.
Now I'm shifting from payments.
By all means.
The stress has a lot of definitions in the psychology, and the definition which I love the most is when there is something you can do something about and you are not doing it, that's what makes you stressed.
Yeah.
So when there is a message which you didn't respond to and you can respond to, you get stressed. When there is an email you need to respond to and you didn't do it, you get stressed. So I don't allow myself to get stressed, and I don't allow anything to impact me when I want to sleep. So I hope I can do that. But the only thing, to be very honest, because we are all humans, so the only thing which can make me not sleep if one of my family members is facing a
Of course.
problem or not in a good shape, that's where I can lose my sleep. That's the only thing. But anything else, it goes and comes. Anything else is not that important. Family comes as number one.
Excellent. That's brilliant to hear as well. Because, and you also spoke about the fact that you were an engineer, but you didn't work for more than a month. I had the same. Engineer
yeah.
too, but I didn't more. I worked in a factory called Goodyear Tires. Have you heard of Goodyear Tires?
Yeah,
the
of
tire
course,
company,
yeah.
Goodyear.
Yeah.
So I worked as a factory engineer way back when I started my career after my engineering, and I didn't enjoy it at all. I went shifted to sales.
Yeah.
And that's been me, sales and marketing and so on and so
Engineers,
forth.
really, I see most of the CEOs of of the financial companies are engineers, by
Yeah.
the way. So engineering gives you the way to think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've said this to my daughter as well,
Yeah.
though she doesn't believe she'll be an engineer.
Yeah, my kids, my son actually, he's in the university and he's in finance. And I said to him, try engineering. He said, Dad, please, I don't want to repeat your experience again. But yeah, I think engineering is great in the way of thinking, and then it helps you much with the business. So I worked also like 1 month only.
Okay.
And another secret, I used to be also army officer for like
Oh,
2 or
wow.
3 years, and that's where the discipline
So
came.
discipline came through. So
Yeah.
not only the systemic way of thinking, but a disciplined way of thinking.
Yeah,
as well.
discipline is super
Excellent.
important, and
Excellent.
if there is no discipline, there is no continuity, there is no success.
This conversation could have kept going on for at least another couple of hours.
I'm
at the
enjoying it,
least.
Peter. Really, I'm
At the
enjoying
least.
it.
But I don't want to keep you away from work as well. I know it's the middle of the afternoon, and I know we have conversations. I'm sure you got work waiting for you back at the office. But Ahmed, sincerely, thank you very much for being our first guest at the Reimagine Payments podcast, and truly grateful and honored to meet you and make your acquaintance. And thank you for your time and all the insights provided. I'm looking forward to the Entertainer Next Gen app. You said 1st of June or first week of June or so?
Let
somewhere
me say
June.
in June. I don't want to put
That's
pressure
fine.
on my team. If I say a day, the team will not sleep. So let me say
we
June
don't want
for
to stress
now.
them out now.
Yeah.
But I will definitely wait for a message to refresh my app on Entertainer. I'm
Inshallah,
going to try
yeah.
that out.
Yeah,
And
it will
all
be
the other-
our 22nd birthday, so that
Oh,
will be the
excellent.
celebration.
Oh, excellent. I'll wait for that.
Not my
And
22nd birthday, the company's 22nd birthday.
I think you and I passed that many years ago.
Yeah, exactly. I wish I can say that. Yeah.
But thank you nevertheless, Ahmed. This was brilliant talking to you.
Peter,
Much appreciated.
Peter, I really appreciate it. And as I told you, I'm a huge fan of Amazon. And
We're grateful,
me
honored.
and my family, we are using Amazon on a daily basis for everything. And I really appreciate that I'm your first guest for today. And I think this
It's an honor.
relationship between me and you and between Amazon and Entertainer also can expand and can go
We should
places as
talk.
well.
We should
I
talk.
truly appreciate it. And I thank you and I thank your team for great planning and the great work before this interview.
We are very grateful.
So it means great leadership. So I look forward to
Thank
be
you.
your friend.
That's humbling to hear from you. That's
Thank
extremely
you.
humbling. Thank you very much indeed, Ahmed.
Thank you, Peter.
Pum pum param pum param pum param pum 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 pum.